Microsoft just dropped a Claude Code plugin for Copilot Studio, and it builds, tests, and fixes your agents directly from the terminal. I tested it, so let me show you what it actually does. My name is Howden Rashid, Microsoft MVP, MCT, and founder of Powercademy, where we help businesses in the Microsoft ecosystem empower their teams on Power Platform and Microsoft AI. And today, I want to break down exactly what this plugin does and if it's actually worth your time. So yesterday, Microsoft's Copilot Studio CAT team, and for people who don't know, that's the Copilot acceleration team. They released an open source plugin for Claude Code and GitHub Copilot. As you can see here, it links directly with Claude Code and allows you to build, test, and deploy agents all through the terminal. Right, so let me give you the quick version. If you saw the video that I made a few days ago, you know that Copilot Studio agents are effectively just YAML files under the hood. The VS Code extension lets you clone them, edit them, and push them back into the Power Platform portal. And that's been general availability since early this year. What this plugin does is it adds an AI knowledge layer on top of that. You install it into Claude Code, and you get 3 commands that come with it. That's author, test, and troubleshoot. Each one has a specialized agent that knows the Copilot Studio YAML schema inside and out. So very simply, if you took the method a few videos ago without installing this plugin, you're effectively asking Claude Code, which is a general coding agent, to understand the schema of the YAML files. However, with this plugin, you're giving it that knowledge to actually turn it into something that has context on how these Copilot Studio agents are actually supposed to be built, rather than just a general coding agent which doesn't actually understand the structure and schema and can make more mistakes than this one. And this isn't some random community tool either, this is directly from the CAT team. And these are the people who are inside of Microsoft who are actually advising these businesses on how to architect these types of agents. They've taken their best practices and knowledge from the schema and put it directly into this plugin for your use. There's 3 main commands that are associated to this plugin. So if you caught my Power Pages plugin video last week, this is similar to this. We've got 3 different commands. We've got author, which effectively allows us to describe what we want in natural language, and it will generate the full YAML. That's topics, actions, knowledge sources, triggers, variables, everything. This is actually what it's going to be using to do the stuff. Test allows you to send test examples to your publish agents from the terminal. So you're not clicking through the test pane anymore and going one message at a time, trying to test every iteration. You can do it all through the terminal, which is much quicker. And this way you can make sure your agents are actually giving the correct responses, which arguably is one of the most important aspects of creating an agent. And you can do this really, really quickly. And then we've got troubleshoot. So you describe a problem, and this is if you identify something going wrong within the way that someone is using your agent, and it diagnoses the cause and suggests the fixes. There's a few reasons this matters, and I think the first one is because this is built by the CAT team, so it's with the best practices from the people that are actually working with this tooling day to day. It's got the full YAML schema knowledge, so again, with a general purpose coding agent, it doesn't understand the way and the structure that Copilot Studio agents are supposed to be built. But with this plugin, you're effectively arming it with that knowledge so it can go and build them effectively. And on the website, it actually claims that it's going to be 20 times faster than the original portal development of agents that we're actually used to. Right, so enough talking about it, let me show you how this actually works. So to use this, you need 2 things already set up. You need Claude Code, so that's Anthropic's AI coding assistant that runs from your terminal, and VS Code with the Copilot Studio extension for cloning and pushing agents. I covered both of these in my last video, so if you're interested, the link's in the description if you want to get set up. But the first thing that we need to do is actually install the plugin within Claude Code. And the way that we do that, if I go into the website where the announcement was made, and I scroll down here, you can see that they've given you 2 commands to actually install the plugin. So I'm actually going to do that here, and assuming you've got Claude Code already initialized within your terminal, and of course you've got the Copilot Studio extension installed, the first thing we're going to do is open up a terminal. So I'm going to go to terminal, new terminal, and then I'm going to run Claude. You can see now Claude is initialized within my terminal. I'm just going to select the default, and then I'm going to run the first command, which is available in the CAT site. So I'm going to paste, enter. You can see it's adding it. You can see it's successfully added, and then I'm going to run the second command, select enter. You can see it's giving me some options. I can install it for me, for all collaborators on this repository, but I'm just going to select for me for now. And you should be ready to go, and the way that you check that is /plugin. And if you do /plugin and go over to marketplaces, you should see skills for Copilot Studio here. What they also recommend is actually coming to the plugin itself, selecting enter, and then selecting enable auto update. This is since the CAT team is actively improving this, so you want the latest patterns and architecture for this plugin. Now, I already have an agent from my last video, which is the IT Help Desk agent. It's a simple support agent for internal employees to get answers on common IT issues. If I go to topics, it doesn't have many. It's got the pre-built ones and then password reset requests, which we created in the last video. So if you haven't watched the last video to completely understand the cloning process and how that works, I would highly recommend checking it out and the link will be in the description. But what we're effectively going to do is clone this onto our local machine so then we can access it through the terminal. So what we want to do is open VS Code, go to the Copilot Studio plugin here on the left-hand side, which is here at the bottom. We're going to select Clone Agent. It's going to ask us to select the environment. We'll select YouTube Development. It's going to ask us to pick an agent. So this is going to be the IT Support Assistant. So what we're going to do is actually create a new folder. So I'm going to come into here, select New, and I'm just going to call this IT Help Desk version 2. Open this up and select the folder. You can see that's cloned onto my machine, and you can see here all of the details that we had in the Overview tab of the Copilot Studio agent. So if I come into Overview, you can see the name, the description, and the agent's model. And you can see the same things are over here. Now I just want you to see this for anyone who hasn't seen the last video, but we've effectively taken a copy of that agent and put it onto our local machine. Now that we've got this open, you want to navigate to your terminal and select New Terminal, and you can see it's already taken us to our IT Help Desk folder. Something I forgot to mention is you can see I've got my topics folder here, and here are all of my individual topics shown in the YAML files. So if I open this up and minimize the terminal, you can see I've got the topic, the model description, and then all of the actions that kind of dictate this topic. So now we're just going to open up our terminal again, and nothing is stopping us from running Claude and starting development on our agent. So the first thing we're going to do is run the author command. So the way that we run this is we do @copilot, and we should see the commands pop up for us. Yep, we can see here. We're going to select author agent, and you can see now anything that comes after that will run through this skill. So I'm going to give it a mini requirements brief, and we want it to create 3 new topics for our IT help desk. And then you can see, so we want 3 new topics, right? We want the software installation requests, we want the VPN connectivity troubleshooting, and we want account lockdown resolution. We've got what we want, we've got the details below it. So now what we're going to do is just hit enter and watch it do its work. You can see it's first examining the project, it's looking for patterns, it's looking through all of our topics as well. It's got a clear picture of the conventions, and now it's going to create all 3 topics for us. It's going to ask us if we want it to make changes. So we'll just come to 2 and allow all edits during the session. And you can see on the left-hand side, topics are starting to be created. It's starting to write the YAML code as well for us. And bit by bit, we're going to see it finish its work here on the left-hand side. Awesome. It seems all 3 topics have been created. It's given us a summary, but it seems like we have an issue with this top topic here. There's 5 problems with this file. If I go through, I can see the issues are down here. I can debug them, or I can even ask Claude Code to do it for me. So if I bring the terminal back on, so you can see I've asked it to go and take a look and let me know what's actually gone wrong with it. It's found the issue and is asking if we want it to apply the fix. So we're just going to select yes, and we're going to watch it do the work for us. Okay, awesome. After a bit of trial and error, we have got all of the files in a working state. And if I click through these, you can see effectively, let me just close the terminal, that if we look at the password request file, we've got a similar model than we do for all of the other files as well. So those topics, once deployed into Copilot Studio, into the portal, will show up as real topics that you can manage through the interface if you wish. Now what I want to do is push the changes into the Power Platform using the extension that we installed. So if we come in here into the left-hand side, click on the Copilot Studio extension and select Apply Changes. You can see it will check for remote changes. It will apply the operation, and you can see it will give us a success message. And if we go into Copilot Studio, refresh this agent, and if I come into topics here, you can see we've got account lockdown resolution, we've got software installation requests, and we've got VPN connectivity troubleshooting, all done with a single prompt. Okay, awesome. So now I'm back in my terminal, and you can see I've opened up a fresh terminal in this case. But as you can see, the files that used to be green are no longer green because they've already been pushed in the Copilot Studio environment. So now what I want to do again in a fresh terminal is open up Claude again. So I'm just going to type in Claude. You can see it's welcomed me back. And now I want to run my Copilot Studio test command. Now there's a few things that we need to get set up before we can actually run this command at this point of recording. Firstly, we want to actually publish our agent. So come into your Copilot Studio agent, select publish, ensure you force the newest version and select publish here. Then we also need an app registered within Azure to actually test the agent on our behalf. Now, I'm not sure if I've set this up, so let's give this a go and go @Copilot Studio test. So we're going to go down and select enter. And we're going to send this test where it says, I need Photoshop installed on my laptop. And what this would do is run a test against the agent in case someone has prompted this to see the response that it gets. So if we select enter and see what it does for us, you can see it's initializing and it immediately asks us for the app registration client ID. Now in this case, we don't have one set up, so we're going to create one for the video. So we're going to go to down And we're going to select I need to create one and select enter, and it's going to give us some guidance on how to actually register the app. You can see step by step it's broken it down for us, so we're going to do this. Okay, so now we're in Azure. What we want to do is select app registrations, and if you don't see it here, search for it here in the top. And we want to give this a name. So what we're going to do is just call this Copilot Studio CLI testing. We're going to make it single tenant only, and we're going to leave the redirect URI blank. Then we're going to select register here at the bottom, and you can see that's been created for us. You'll land on the overview page, and here you want to copy the application ID and also the directory tenant ID. So here we've got the application ID, and we can select copy to clipboard, and make sure you save this somewhere because we're going to need it when we go back to Claude. Now, a bit of a gotcha here, these steps aren't entirely accurate. And an example would be this section here where it says go to APIs my organization uses and search for Power Virtual Agents or Copilot Studio. Now this isn't the API that we need. We actually need the Power Platform API. So it's a bit of a bug in the response it's giving us, but I'm sure this will be fixed in due time. But for now, just follow the steps in the video and you should be fine. So we're going to go to API and permissions, ensure we're still in the Copilot Studio app registration. And what we want to do is add a permission. We want to go to APIs my organization uses and search for Power Platform. Click on the Power Platform API. We want to go to delegated permissions. And we want to tick the Copilot Studio Copilot's invoke permission. And to find that, you just type in Copilot Studio, like this. You can see it'll pop up here. And we want this one, copilotstudio.copilots.invoke. And we're going to tick this and select add permissions. And then we want to click on this grant admin consent button. Click on this, select yes. You can see that's been granted. And now you can see here, it wants the application ID. So if you missed this, we're going to go to overview. We're going to copy the application ID from here. We're going to go back into Visual Studio Code and say this. And then we're going to send that through. You can see it's resuming that action. It's going to ask for some approval. You can see it's giving us some steps to authenticate here. We're going to paste it in our browser where we're already authenticated. We're going to copy and paste the code here. We're going to authenticate with our Powercademy account, enter the password, and then do the authentication. We're going to select continue. And it says we can close this window, so we're going to do that and then go back into Visual Studio. It's still working for some reason, so we're just going to do a /btw, which allows us to ask a question without interrupting the work. So we're going to say, I've authenticated using your steps. Now what? Now, I'm not going to lie to you, this ran for 6 minutes, and you can see we still don't have our result. So it seems like this skill isn't fully working yet to the way that we want, because technically we could just go back into the Copilot Studio portal and do our testing in here. And that would have taken just a few minutes maximum. But here you can see it's struggling with the authentication, but let's see how it goes when we actually authenticate and it starts working. Okay, so it seems like it's taking a little while. As you can see, it's taken me 4 minutes to run this test, and it's taken me another 6 minutes to run this one up here. So what I'm going to do is just select escape to cancel that and interrupt it because it seems like it's bugging. And again, I could edit this part out, but I do want to show you the reality of these tools and the limitations of them at this current moment as well. So what I'm going to do instead is run another prompt. So again, I'm going to do @Copilot Studio test, come down, select enter, and I'm going to run this. Send I can't get into my account. We're going to select enter, and we're going to see if this one actually starts working. You can see the command prompted out again after a 5 minute and 33 second run. So again, I'm running into a lot of difficulties trying to run this, but we're going to give it one more try, the benefit of a doubt, and if it doesn't work, then we're just going to call it. Okay, so I'm not going to lie to you, we're still running. I do think at this point it is going to be easier to just go into the studio and test it from within there. Because if I come into here and just send what I tried to send through the terminal that just wasn't working, it's going to work almost immediately. And you can see straight away I'm kind of getting immediate feedback, and I'm also going to see the flow in front of me through the visual screen. So here it's looking like a bit of a problem. I'm just going to select escape because I'm not waiting a minute longer for that to work. But with that being said, hopefully that showed you the reality of that skill in this current state. Last but certainly not least, I want to try the Copilot Studio Troubleshoot skill. So this is the third and final skill. And if I click on this, it basically gives me an ability to change and adapt the agent based on any problems that I find with it. So in this case, I actually haven't found any problems with this agent specifically, but let's say, for example, if I send something like the utterance, I can't get into my account, is routing to password reset instead of account lockout resolution, I'm basically telling it an issue to troubleshoot and try and fix for me. Now in this case, it doesn't really work because we don't have an issue, but if I was to just send this, you can see it's going to actually go through, look through our files and look for that specific issue. It's going to try and recreate that problem as well and effectively try and diagnose what the problem is. And you can see in this case, it gives us a root cause and it gives us some proposed fixes as well, and even asks us if we want to apply these fixes. So again, if I select yes and select enter, you're going to see it's going to go through those files, alter the codes to make sure those fixes are now applied. We're going to just give it all the permissions it needs. And again, we're taking a bit of an arbitrary use case here because we haven't actually identified any issues, which is again why you have to be super cautious in the changes it's actually making. But this is great at immediately diagnosing the issues through the code itself and actually applying the fixes. You can see it's told us all 3 fixes have been applied, and you can see these 2 M's on both of the files that were referenced to indicate that they were modified. Now let's say I click onto these and I'm happy with the changes that were made. Just going to scroll down in this terminal. We take a look, we say we're happy with this. What we can do is then come into the Copilot Studio extension. We can see there's 2 local changes and we can just send those changes, and we can send these changes to the cloud. Now I believe before we do that, since there has been a remote change, we need to first get those remote changes so we have the most current version of the agent, and then we can push those changes back into the studio. Yep, so you can see now I've clicked this, I can go to apply changes, and it's going to do the same thing in terms of publishing the agent for us. So that's the Copilot Studio plugin for Claude Code. So I'm sure you're wondering, what's my honest take on this? Is it production ready? The answer is no. On the blog post as well, it clearly says that this feature is experimental. So of course you should always review the YAML code before you push anything into production. You can see we ran into problems with certain skills, such as the test, where sometimes it can just be easier to do those things in the studio as well. But here's what I think is significant. Microsoft is changing their approach to the way that they're building these low-code tools. Instead of just writing documentation that people may not read, they're encoding their best practices into tools like this to empower developers and citizen developers to build full functional agents and MVPs as well. And because of this, you have to admit the gap between Maker and someone who's developing these agents has become smaller. Now, with every video where we use Claude Code or any sort of tool that helps you coding, I have to be super honest with the fact that you can't put in code into production that you don't understand. Like, that is reckless and it's a very big risk. But I think if we look at what this means for the rest of the Microsoft ecosystem, we can see them doing this for other applications within the Power Platform as well. So they've done this for Power Pages and now Copilot Studio, so you have to think the other applications are going to follow suit with these kind of plugins too. And honestly, I think it's the right move, and it gives me a lot more confidence that Microsoft is moving with the times, if you would, rather than just kind of staying behind and lagging behind these low-code tools. I think leadership at Microsoft understand that the world of software and technology is changing, and they're trying to adapt rather than just stay static. So should you use it? The answer is yes, especially if you're already using tools like Claude Code to help you write Copilot Studio agents. It's open sourced, it's free, and it's going to continue evolving and improving with time, of course. And I think it's always good to just get on these tools early, because I do see them becoming more and more relevant as time goes on. Now, if you're watching this and thinking that my team really needs to understand this stuff, whether it's building agents or applying these modern practices to the day-to-day work that they're doing, that's exactly what we do at Powercademy. We run hands-on workshops to get your team up to speed with Power Platform and AI. If you're interested in talking, the link's in the description to book a call and ask more questions. So if this was useful to you, you know what to do. Subscribe, of course, and like if you want to see more videos like this. It really helps push it through the algorithm and get it to more people, so then, I can keep making this stuff. And yeah, again, spend a few hours on this, so I will catch you on the next one, and take it easy.